Hey, I'm gonna be reviewing The Evil Dead, which came out in 1981. It's directed by Sam Raimi. It stars Bruce Campbell, Ellen Sandweiss, Hal Delrick, Betsy Baker, and Sarah York. Basic plot of this movie is a group of young adults go out into a cabin in the middle of the woods where when they get there, they suspect that the place is a little bit off, like something bad happened there. And it's mainly through one of the women, Cheryl, because she has like psychic abilities. So eventually, when they get there, they venture down into the cellar where they find an audio recording from an archaeologist in a book called the Necronomicon, which is bound in human flesh. And it's based Necronomicon's the Book of the Dead, and it also has a distorted face on it. Once they play the audio recording and read from the book, these entities known as Deadites come and possess their bodies, well besides one person, and this one person is left to fight them off and to survive. Um, isn't I put off this franchise for a while because I am not a fan of this. I'm not a big fan of this franchise. I liked this first movie, but the sequels are not really my thing. But I figure I should review them because it's considered one of the most well-known horror franchises. Even though if you're not a horror fan and because even though you're not a horror fan, they have this movie and other types of movies. They, have it in TV shows and music. So I figure, like, yeah, I'll review it, yes. So what I do like about this movie is the creativity. This movie was made on a I think it was $350,000 budget, and they pulled off a lot, especially with the practical effects, and I don't even say with the camera work for a low budget movie like this. And one thing I do like about this movie too is that this movie came out in 1981 during the height of the slasher craze, and they chose to go a different direction with this. Like they chose to do entities, like demonic entities attacking these young people in a cabin and not a mass killer. And they built a mythology with it. I'm sorry. So yeah, they built a mythology with it. And they also, it's not the first movie, but around this time, I would say ever since Halloween came out, that there's always this trope in horror movies, not like even to nowadays, where there's always a final girl and never a final guy. And this is like one of the rare movies that have a final guy in it, which he is, the hero of the franchise. He's also one of the most well known horror heroes. Like besides him and maybe Laurie Strode, and maybe Heather Langenkamp or Nancy Thompson from A Nightmare on Elm Street. So, like I said, special effects. The one thing I do like is the camera work. Like they have a lot of creative shots in this movie, and like you can kind of see like how Sam Raimi got, not from this movie, but probably from his other bodies of work. Why he was picked to do the Spider-Man franchise, the Tobey Maguire ones. Yeah, and especially in this movie, there's a lot of creativity. I believe this was his first movie he ever made. Um, there's a bunch of shots where like the demons roaming around. It's from the demons' point of view, and if the camera's just like moving around like really fast and sporadic. There's like this really cool opening scene where it's like going over the swamp and into the woods. It's very cool. There's a lot of movies that steal this camera work. Well, the only one I can Well, Exorcist 2 came out before this movie, because there's a shot in Exorcist 2, maybe that's where Sam Raimi might have got it from. He probably got it from something else. But, there's a scene where, in Exorcist 2, where it's from the locust point of view, and it's like the same camera shot like that. And then, there's a movie called Night of the Demons, that came out in 1988, that borrowed heavily from this movie, just like the concept of the demons, and there's also the camera work, like I was saying, with how the demons moving through the house. And I'm not sure if Dead Alive used it, but Dead Alive was heavily inspired by this movie too. It's also called Brain Dead in the UK. Dead Alive is. So, yeah, and there's also another cool camera shot where, like, Ash is walking down. Like, his sister gets attacked by this rape tree, which that's kind of, like, the idea is ludicrous, but when you watch it on film, it's actually kind of disturbing. So, like, she wants to leave because, she got assaulted by a tree. Um, so she's like, I want to leave, you need to take me to the bridge, we need to go. And they pull up to this bridge, and there's something going on because Ash gets out the car, and there's this cool shot from where it's behind him, and it's like he's like walking like sideways down the path. But when the camera faces towards him, like frontwards, he's upright, vertical. So I thought that was pretty creative because, like, when the sister does it too, they do the same thing, like from the back. It's sideways, and then when it's facing towards her, it's up, it's vertical. Um, there's also a lot of like creativity they put into this too, like with like the liquid mirror. Like, I always remember that scene from this movie because I haven't watched this movie that many times. But I remember like the liquid mirror where like Ash sees his like reflection. This is near the end of the climax of the movie, and he puts his hand through, and it's just like a liquid mirror. And then there's like the light bulb that fills up with blood and explodes. There's the pipe that falls on Ash's face, and it just blood just gushes all over his face. I like the little corridors with the doors like slamming open and Ash just running through them and stuff. This is like the camera shots in that scene too, and those scenes too, are just like very fast and frenetic and stuff. Now, like, the look of the Deadites, they're not that great looking, especially nowadays. But like back then, you could kind of tell like they wanted to do their own thing with it. I actually think the Deadites look better in the second movie, and then they got much better in Army of Darkness. But again, like I said, this was a low budget movie, so they had to work with what they had, and like one Deadite just literally looked like it was a bad makeup day. She just put like a ton of looked like they put a ton of makeup on her face. It kind of reminded me a bit of like Leanna Quigley's character from Night of the Demons. When she gets possessed, she just like puts a bunch of makeup all over her face. But like the eyeballs are like solid white. That's how all the Deadites look, and that was really cool. But you could like I was saying about the Deadites, like you could tell like they're probably wearing a mask or like the makeup, because the makeup just stops like right there where the neck is. So it just looks like they're wearing a mask. And but it's not bad. Like I don't say it was awful, but the best Deadite I think was the Cheryl Deadite. That's the one that gets locked in the cellar, and she's the one taunting them. She's like the more creepy one out of them. Like, she floats up in the air and like saying, "We're gonna get you. We're gonna swallow your soul. We're gonna get you," like that. And she's like the creepiest one because she's peering out through the cellar doors, just tormenting them. Uh, um, there's also like this claymation effect too. Oh, I forgot to mention about the other Deadite, the one that has like a bunch of makeup on her face. I think that's Ash's girlfriend. She has an annoying ass voice. Like when she laughs, it's so annoying, and like, she kept doing it throughout the movie, like the rest of the movie, and just annoyed the hell out of me. Because she's going like hee 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 like that, but it's much louder and worse. It's like, oh my god. And there's also like this claymation effect when Ash kills two of the Deadites, and I really enjoy claymation, so it doesn't really bother me. But like nowadays, people would say, "What the hell is that about?" Like they would say it looks so cheesy nowadays. But I just liked it. Because claymation takes more. It takes a long time to do. So I thought that was really cool. Um, yeah. What else I say? Oh yeah, Ash in this movie, he is not like the Ash that we know in the later movie, in the later on in the franchise. He's more like quiet and shy and kind of wimpy, and he kind of has to be like a final, like he kind of has like the build up of a final girl, where he starts out weak and then he builds up to become strong, and near the end of the movie, you don't see him at his full potential, but yeah, that's but in the sequels he does get more stronger and stuff. Like the acting's not great in this, even from Bruce Campbell, but I mean it's passable acting for the low budget movie like this. I really don't know what else to say about this movie. There's not really much. I know people love this franchise, so I mean, this is just like an opinion on what I think of the movie, which I do. I like the concept and the special effects. I forgot to mention too about how they killed the Deadites. You had to chop off all their limbs and then bury them, which I think that's pretty creative. Because it's not that complicated. I think you also have to burn the Necronomicon, at least in this movie, because that's what Ash did. Yeah, like I said, it's not an in-depth review. I'm pretty sure some other people have done an in-depth review of this movie and this franchise. And like I said, it's not my favorite franchise. I like I like the first movie for what it was trying to do. But anyways, that's my review.